Hello guys! I just watched Warriors then and I had to immediately do a video about it, so sorry because of all the presentation, but I just want to focus on the Patchnotes and on the testing grounds because they are awesome. So let's get started immediately. First, Aramusha. Aramusha, they nerfed this damage. All chain heavy attacks now deal in general 26 damage. And they also nerfed the heavy finisher damage by 2 damage. It's because Aramusha is a menace in team fights because all his heavies, chain heavies, are relatively fast. If you look away for 1 second and you don't pay attention, you eat a lot of damage. That's what, in my opinion, made Aramusha so great in team fights, because you have if you don't spam too much, if you use your heavies wisely, you can suppress a lot of people. In best case, you will even land the heavy and hurt everyone, every enemy in a team fight. So they have to be always on the watch against Aramusha in team fights. So that's the first nerf, and the second change is super spicy. Yeah, Conqueror. Conqueror gets finally a Rollcatcher, boys. New move is called Crashing Apprehension. It's a forward dodge heavy input. Counts as a heavy opener, acts as a chain starter, can be feinted, and can be soft feinted with full block stance. A lot of utility from a Rollcatcher. I just expected a simple forward dodge, forward heavy or forward light, but they added so much more. And yeah, this is how it looks. Bam! It's relatively slow, but look at the damage, guys. 24 damage from a Rollcatcher, and that's super spicy. You never want to roll away ever again against Conqueror. But obviously we have to check how the travel distance is, but it seems it's decent. You can catch rolls kind of consistent. All right, next change, Shugoki. Shugoki headbutt deals now 12 damage, up from 10, and now costs less stamina. Why? Because with the last change on Shugoki, they nerfed the headbutt by removing the option to go into a heavy after a whiffed headbutt. Now they want to give you something back, and that's why they basically buffed the damage and the stamina cost. So obviously a nice buff, but in general it won't do much. Just helps with risk reward, but that's okay. Totally fine with that change. So next change, Gladiator. Skewer parry window is now 166, down from 200. Parry window starts at the same timing but ends 33 milliseconds earlier than usually. What does that mean? It's basically the pirate treatment. It is on higher levels harder, way harder to react to. Like the Gladiator Unblockable has a very distinct animation, and even people with average reaction could kinda consistently react to this, and yeah, basically negate Gladiator Unblockables. So this is a change that will help him in the long run on higher levels, obviously. And yeah, interesting change. I have to give it a try now. And yeah, that's it. For Gladiator, now to the Shinobi. Centurion now generates City Revenge, down from 55. Why is that? In the past, Shinobi gank was insane, and now with the last change about revenge, about the hit stun rules, the Shinobi gank is not that potent, and Centurion in general deals an absurd amount of revenge, and now they want to help us Shinobi a bit by reducing the revenge feed. Alright, that's it with the patch notes for next week. Now let's talk about the testing grounds. So guys, please stay calm, Alright, it just changes about the testing grounds. They are not fully implemented. Ubisoft will always take a look on it and test some stuff. But first of all, we have Centurion. Amplified Raw, passive, Lines Raw, finisher, now unbalances. What does it mean? Every time when you GB someone, you can input light attack to punch someone in the face. And now with Amplified Raw, on your sit hit, you unbalances him. And then you can Eagle Talon him. Sounds crazy, but yeah. It's a unique feat, and let's be honest guys, all his Centurion's unique abilities are most of the times garbage. Like what right now he has like infinite stamina for a short amount of time. It was awkward. So now Eagle's Windfall. That's the second unique ability now in the testing grounds. Passive. After landing an Eagle's Talon, reduce enemy attacks and increase ally movement speed. Why? Why Ubisoft? Why? And in my opinion, it's a good change. Because in team fights, it was... You did the Eagle's Talons anyways, because you have hyper armor, it deals a lot of damage, it pins someone down to the ground. But now you get extra rewarded in team fights to pull off an Eagle Talons by reducing the enemy's attack around you in team fights. And you also buff your allies' movement speed. I think the second buff is to help, for example, you gank someone real quick, punch him in the face, Eagle Talons him, finish him off the ground, and then you can rotate quickly around the map. This is also a very cool feature of Eagle's Windfall. But the most important feature is you reduce the attack damage of your enemies. And that's a cool feature. And then we have Vainglorious Puccio. It's basically a Puccio, but you have with extra utility. Throw a projectile that binds kicking a bound target unbalances them. So now in the past or right now, you throw a Puccio and you go for a pinned heavy. That's your optimal punish right now. But now you can push up. For example, you have now a synergy between Vainglorious Puccio and your second ability. In team fights, you throw a Puccio, you kick him on the ground, and then you can you have a relatively easy access to your Eagle's Windfall. Cool synergy. I like that idea. Refined Phalanx. This is basically a phalanx on steroids. So basically it gives all nearby allies a moderate shield and cleanse negative status effects. Sounds on first glance very unimpressive, but Ubisoft also mentioned all negative debuffs. That means attack debuffs, defense debuffs, fire, bleed, and non-common status like corruption or infection. So this is now finally we have counterplays to corruption or infection. Cool. So that's the unique feats for Centurion. And now let's talk about Peacekeeper. Fire a crossbow that deals direct bleed damage. That's nothing new. They're already working on that for a long time. But in the first iteration it was 5 direct damage and 5 bleed damage. Now they changed it to 1 direct damage and 9 bleed damage. So in this case you have more bleed ticks to work with in team fights. For example, you shoot someone in a team fight and then you have all your light attacks are enhanced. That's why you can suppress them. You have access to unblockables. It makes more sense. So bleed armor, passive. After a hit on a bleeding target, gain a defense buff for a short duration. This makes PK much stronger in duels or in team fights in general, in anti-gank situation. Like every time when you land an attack on someone that is bleeding, you gain a defense buff. Easy as that, straightforward. It helps to change the risk reward to PK's favor. So, Centurion saturations, attacks apply bleed. Passive, hit a bleeding target to reduce the feat's cooldown. It's basically a sharpened blade plus. Yeah, that's how it is. So every time when you pop the ability, you apply bleeds, and then every time when you land, hit on the bleeding target, you reduce the cooldown of it. That's insane. Cool synergy. Sharpened blade plus, basically. Induced fear is also a variation of fear itself. Fear itself is an active, induced fear is a passive. But obviously not that potent. I think fear itself has somewhat maybe 30% damage reduction, but I think this is around 10 or 50% damage debuff. But permanently around you, around PK. Alright, that's testing grounds for testing grounds unique feats for PK. Now we talk about Shinobi. Secret Cool Cloud Burst. Boom. Passive, gain an attack buff after completing Secret Rain. So right now, Shinobi mains will know. Why should you ever go for a complete Secret Rain? Right now, the optimal place is you land the Secret Rain, you only strike him twice with Secret Rain and do a back roll. Why is that? Why do people do that? Because to keep the frame advantage on your next move. So if you go for full Secret Rain and then you backflip, the enemy can interrupt you, can interrupt your next move, can interrupt your back roll kick, that can interrupt your next unblockable, undodgeable, and so on. That's why people just go for 2 Secret Rains, back roll, and the enemy has to do a defensive move. They have to dodge, or they have to do a dodge attack, or they have to stand still. There's no way to interrupt the Shinobi. So with that, you have now an option. You have to go for the full Secret Rain to get the attack buff, or you keep your old style. But now we have a variation. That's cool. Refined Nukubi. Passive gain stamina on successful hits. They basically changed the tier 3 to a tier 2 feat. Why is that? Nukubi itself is decent, how it works, but as a level 3 feat, it's kind of underwhelming. That's why they changed the position of the feats and so on. So Yama Uba. I love Yama Uba. It gives you a very, very small life leech on your attacks. It's not very significant, but in a 1v1 or on minion lane, it changes Shinobi's life. Like, you can stay on a minion lane forever. In a 1v1, you can, if you perform well, you can life leech maybe 50 or maybe 30 health. And that's enough to decide a 1v1 for you. It's not a big life leech, but it helps you to change, to shift the odds to your favor. So now to a very new ability, Cruel Helix. They've removed shooting stars from Shinobi's level 2. Now it's a level 4, but instead of throwing just one wave of shurikens, now you throw 2 waves of shurikens, dealing damage to everyone around you. It's a level 4 now. I actually like that idea. I hope it's not it's also they removed the shotgun bug, but we will see. But in general, I like the idea. I like the idea to switch the positions of the feats. Because some were kind of underwhelming, some abilities were kind of broken. But hey, that's how it is for Shinobi's testing ground. So, next one. Berserker! Swift Axe Throw. Throw an axe that deals light damage. Getting hit reduces the cooldown on the feat. They made this for Berserker, I don't know, 1 or 2 testing grounds before, but they always have to adjust the numbers. And they really want to keep the fantasy alive of a Berserker who wants to trade hits with you. So, now, Swift Axe Throw throws an axe that deals light damage. Getting hit reduces the cooldown of the feat. Blooming Rage, passive. Getting hit increases damage and movement speed for a short duration. Like, you really want to trade blows with the enemy. Like, you get so many advantages from it. You get damage increase, you reduce your cooldown of your throwing axe, you have also Unwavering Fury, gain infinite stamina and enhanced slice for a short duration. What does it mean? With infinite stamina and with enhanced slice, in theory, you keep your momentum up forever. And on top of that, you also enhance your dodge light attacks. And in this case, you become basically an S tier Berserker. Like in the past, Berserker was triple S tier. Yes, people think that's ridiculous, but that's how it was, guys. Because of that thing, dodge enhance dodge light attacks. In this case, you can go into an unblockable, yada. But Unwavering Fury, interesting change. Now to Valhalla's Blessing, gain super armor and cannot be killed in combat for a short duration. With the last testing grounds, the duration was 20 seconds, but obviously that's too much. Now they reduced the duration by... now it just lasts for 10 seconds, and they also increased the cooldown. Now every time when you pop it, it goes on a 3 minutes cooldown, I think. So that's it for Berserker. Now, also a small change. It's just testing grounds, guys. Not live. So revenge scaling following anti-gank changes. So revenge generated is now scaled based on the amount of damage reduction you received from hit stun rules. What does that mean? Okay, so let's say you gank someone. Alright, you bash, light him as a setup, and your gank partner throws the heavy on him. Alright, right now, you deal reduced damage, but you feed still the same amount of revenge like a regular heavy. But now with the revenge scaling, you deal with your punish heavy. Also you feed less revenge because of the scaling. So in this case, that means also, for example, you get Jumanji'd by 3 or 4 people. Okay, and they also hit you on your second hit stun. That means the next heavy should be on the third hit stun. In this case, you get a damage reduction of 75%. That means also, vice versa, you only get 25% of the revenge from that heavy. So, guys, that's just on the testing grounds, so don't worry. We will just find out, does it work, does it not work. But I also hope in the future, I'm totally fine with that change if they finally fix revenge tags. Alright, I don't know. Ubisoft I think they just avoid the topic of revenge tags, guys. But guys, overall I'm kind of happy. They also mentioned about Virtuosa bug fix. Like every time when you go into the stance on the minion line, every enemy minion that attacks Virtuosa gain access to repos. It's kind of ridiculous, but now they fixed that. All good. I'm happy. So, guys, that's it. Amazing news, right? And don't worry, this will be up on the 9th 11th, so in 1 week. Until then, I hope you have a good day. See you in the next video. Bye bye.